Your attention, please. It's time for the final countdown. The show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go!
And we are back live with the Lakers Fast Break. I'm your host for this Lakers Snack Pack, Sean Grice, aka MagicMan. Unfortunately, none of our fellow Laker Fast Break contributors could join us, so I'm with you before the game tonight, and we're previewing the second play-in game of the Lakers franchise history. As we know, the first play-in game involved the Golden State Warriors, and as such, as it took place, two of the biggest superstars in the league at the time, LeBron and Steph, played, and it cemented the play-in. The ratings were huge. The Lakers won 103-100, went on to be the seventh seed, and eventually lost to the Phoenix Suns. As we look into our crystal ball right now, Lakers are again find themselves as the seventh seed playing the eighth seed Minnesota Timberwolves. Timberwolves coming in very scarred, very bloody, not only because of a must-win game they had to have on Sunday against New Orleans. The Minnesota Timberwolves find themselves fighting amongst themselves right now. There was a heated exchange all throughout the game, really, when you look back between Kyle Anderson and Rudy Gobert, and it boiled over on the bench when Rudy Gobert extended his arm and hit Kyle Anderson right in the chest. There was an ensuing breakup. Taurean Prince shoved Rudy Gobert, and they had to be separated. Now, as we found out, there was some fallout from that. Jaden McDaniels, for whatever reason, it won't be understood, decided that he was going to walk away from the incident, but before he did, he was going to punch a wall for some reason. Now, the tarp and hallway separating the Wolves' locker room and backstage area from the actual arena, there is a concrete barrier there, and that's where the tarps are. Everybody knows this. Everybody knows this, whether it's a basketball game, hockey game, football game. If there's a tarp in between a hallway, there's usually concrete behind it or something strong. But unfortunately, McDaniels, for whatever reason, angry at the situation, angry at himself, punched a wall and fractured his hand. And so now the Wolves find themselves with a suspended Rudy Gobert and an absent Jaden McDaniels. Now, this changes fundamentally the way the Wolves play defense. The Wolves love to switch. The problem is when you eliminate Gobert and McDaniels, you pretty much eliminate virtually their entire versatility. It's like 90% of their versatility is just gone. And so now what you have is a situation where the Lakers have to expose those weaknesses all game long. They can't take any time off. If the Lakers take their foot off the gas tonight, they may not get the car back because the Wolves might take the keys. And I know people might say, well, Sean, the Wolves are coming in, they're a wounded animal and they're bloodied all over, and all the Lakers need to do is put it in drive and run the body over. To an extent, that's true. If they do that, they will. But this team is also in the play-in and the playoffs for a reason. They're a mediocre team, but they can show up on some nights with brilliant play. And if Anthony Edwards and Karl Anthony Towns both decide to go berserk tonight, the Lakers might find themselves in a little bit of hot water. So the Lakers need to take care of business. And a key key of business tonight is limiting what Mike Conley can do, because offensively now the Wolves are weakened as well. Mike Conley, from the time he's been a starter, which is 2009, so for about 13 years now, this guy has just been headhunting out on the court. He doesn't care who the matchup is. He doesn't care if it's Rudy Gay. He doesn't care if it's Marc Gasol. He doesn't care if it's McDaniels. He doesn't care if it's Anthony Edwards. Whatever matchup he can exploit, he will. Mike Conley is what you call milk the cow point guard. Whatever matchup is working, whatever guy is hot, who's ever feeling it, whether it be himself, he has the cognitive ability and the awareness to know to keep feeding that individual or keep shooting himself. He's always had that penchant. It's been with him since he was in Ohio State when he played with Greg Oden and Daquan Cook. So those instincts have always been with Mike Conley. If the Lakers can find a way to clamp down on Conley's pick and roll abilities, they'll find a way to limit what Minnesota can do offensively, because now basically Vando can be put on whoever the Lakers wish him to be on. Last time the Lakers played the Wolves, they basically had the same team. A couple injuries here and there aside, but it was the same team. They put Austin Reeves on Anthony Edwards a lot, which I thought limited our versatility on the perimeter. I would have preferred to put Vando on Cat personally, and or excuse me, Anthony Edwards rather than Cat, or Anthony Davis on Cat. But now that Gobert isn't playing, you can put Vando on Edwards now at this point. I think Austin Reeves hounding Mike Conley, the size advantage that he has can make it a little problematic for Mike Conley, especially when he brings those bigs up on those high pick and rolls, and he likes to maneuver himself. I think Austin has the twitchiness and the lateral quickness enough to try and impede what Conley does on the offensive end. I think Vando's length can really bother Anthony Edwards tonight, because he's going to be their main butter and egg man on offense. And then you can switch, right? If you like the fact of Reeves being on Anthony Edwards, now you got versatility, right? You can switch Austin Reeves onto Edwards, and now Vando maybe switches on to Cat or switches on to Taurean Prince. I happen to think that the Wolves will play a small lineup. They have to. It just depends on who's playing in between Cat. Is it going to be Taurean Prince? Because are you going to put Taurean Prince and Kyle Anderson in there? Because if you do, you create a similarly issue for the Lakers. Anderson is a very adept passer, and he can put players in positions that can be exploited. So the Lakers really need, hopefully, have watched their film on Kyle Anderson, because I have a feeling that Anderson and Conley themselves are going to do a lot of the setups tonight. And they need somebody else to get hot. I mean, Taurean Prince has shown ample times that he's able to get hot and a flurry of threes. The game against the Nets, I think he hit 7 in the first half. So he's very capable of getting hot. The Lakers just can't let their foot get off the gas pedal tonight. And to add a little bit of history into this, so when we talk about the plan, right? So the inaugural plan started in 2020 during the bubble, and it only occurred between the 8th and the 9th seeds. They already had determined the top 7 seeds were already in the playoffs, so they would have a play-in for the 8th seed. Now, the original format was that in the Western Conference, the Memphis Grizzlies played the Trailblazers. Now, at the time, the Lakers were waiting, right? Because after the bubble, We were the number one seed. We were just waiting on who we were going to play, and the play-in would determine it. Now, ultimately, Portland won the play-in game. They got the eighth seed. We ended up playing Portland, ended up beating Portland. Rest is history. Next year, that's when the new kind of format came into play, where 7th and 8th played each other and 9 and 10 played each other. Now, it's important to note whether or not it was the original in 2020 or moving forward. No 8th seed has ever won the play-in first game. No 8th seed has ever won. The 7th seed has won every game. Conversely, in the 9 and 10 game, no 10th seed has ever won a play-in game yet. There hasn't been a 10th seed that's won it yet. And as we get into the secondary plan, 3 out of the 4 times the team that's lost has won. I think only Washington beat Indiana that hadn't won their play-in game. But looking forward now, so that's 11-3, the top seeds in play-in situations. 14 games, the top seeds, either the 7th or the 9th, are 11-3 in both the primary and the secondary. Now, when we look at the matchups tonight, I'm picking Lakers. I think we're going to beat the Wolves. I don't think it's going to be as handily as people think. I think eventually the Lakers will pull away with about 5 or 6 minutes left in the fourth quarter and the win. In the initial play-in game in the Eastern Conference for the 7th and 8th seed, I happen to think that the Miami Heat will win. It's the Heat won the season series between them and the Hawks 3-1. At the 2 home games, the Heat won 117-109 and 130-128. Games pretty close, right? They're divisional rivals. And as we have fine guests joining us, thank you very much, Mr. Glassford. Oh my gosh, I love your shades, Gerald. They are fantastic.
Well, I'm driving about. I could stop for a country. You weren't lonely, man, here at the Lakers snack pack.
I know, man. It's never good eating alone.
Looks like a good crew out there today.
So, Gerald, we were.
Yes, that's true.
So, Gerald, when I know I heard your picks for the playoffs with you and John. Just what are your feelings about the Miami Heat? Do you think if they win tonight that they can give the Boston Celtics some trouble in the first round?
Absolutely not. This is not the team. This is not the team that they faced against about a little less than a year ago. This is not the team that they faced in the Eastern Conference Finals for the Boston Celtics. Boston Celtics they pretty much cruised through the back half of the season, and when they're a little bit deeper than they even were last year. And then you have a Miami team that has some issues as far as generating offense. And Jimmy Butler is a playoff god, but I don't think even he can overcome that type of, just the number of individuals now that they have that can defend against him, because they got a whole bunch of wings. They're a little bit healthier than they were this time last year for the Celtics. So, yeah, all signs are pointing to the Celtics in easy fashion. But again, a lot of people are picking Atlanta for tonight. So as far as an upset, so we'll see what happens. But I don't want to put anything past Atlanta or Minnesota. But yeah, tonight I'm hoping for that the favorites, at least on the Lakers side, come through.
Yeah, absolutely, Gerald. And as I was just reiterating, as history has shown, the 7th seed has been perfect so far. Let's
hope it stays that way.
Yes, absolutely. No 8th seed and no 10th seed has ever won the play-in game as of yet, Gerald. And by the way, no play-in team has ever won a playoff series. Do you think either one of those scenarios change this year, Gerald? Do you possibly see the Thunder making the playoffs, or possibly the Bulls or the Raptors?
I in yesterday's show with John, I picked the Thunder. I thought the Thunder are going to surprise. I think SGA is going to go off for 45 plus. I think that we're going to see a big game from him. I think they're going to surprise New Orleans in New Orleans. And I don't think that they'll beat Minnesota 2 games in a row because Rudy Gobert will be back in the lineup. But I think that at least they'll surprise people by overtaking the ninth seed New Orleans Pelicans and basically, their season, which had some good runs in it, unfortunately, because Zion is Zion, and it just weren't meant to be. It was a team that looked like it was going to be filled with promise, and these young players that played so well last season in the postseason looked like they were going to take a next step, and unfortunately, that didn't work out for them.
Now, that begs an interesting question now, Gerald. Which team do you think has more upside, the Pelicans or the Thunder?
Which team has more upside?
Yes,
That's
sir.
a good question. That's a close question. I mean, both have considerable assets. The Thunder have a million draft picks, but don't underestimate the draft picks of what we see from the New Orleans Pelicans, because the New Orleans Pelicans have a good amount of draft picks as well. Thanks, Lakers. But when it comes to who has the better future, I'd say I'm going to save that answer. You can ask me again after this draft. After this draft comes through, we'll see. But I think the question we're going to have to ask ourselves: should the Pelicans trade Zion? I think that question starts to creep in now. I think I was listening to a couple shows earlier this morning, and one of them broached the subject, but like, oh no, let's put that. No, I think now you kind of want to start thinking about at least going to the table and saying, 4 seasons now, or is it 3 seasons? 3. Okay, so 3 seasons now of Zion, 114 games or something like that. I think you have to start asking yourself this question. But then again, these are questions for when we go ahead into the off season.
Absolutely. Switching back to the game tonight, who do you want to see on Anthony Edwards, Gerald? Because we saw last time Darvin Ham game plan against the Wolves, he had Austin Reeves on him a lot. Now, I happen to think because they're absent Jaden McDaniels and Rudy Gobert, it limits them from a versatility aspect on both ends. And I think it would be better suited if you put Vando on Anthony Edwards, Gerald. I'm not sure about you.
Well, I've told you all about this before when it concerns Reeves. Reeves, very solid two-way player. I think he's going to be now. I'm finally thinking that he's going to be a consistent player in this league. He's really upped his game over the back half of the season, but he's not a star player. And he has trouble guarding star players, and they always stick him on guard players. See Steph Curry, those moves he's made against him. See, like you said, with Anthony Edwards, the goal is for Anthony Edwards to make him a volume shooter, but not a volume scorer. So you put him, like I said last night, give him like a 7 for 21 game, like we saw from THT the other day. Just that inefficient day, but he's chucking up a lot of shots. So you want to put a body on him that's going to make it hard to score. I would start off with Vando. I think that when it comes to guarding Cat, I think they had a solid game plan in that third quarter, and I think they need to go ahead and start off with that, or at least try to focus on that first with AD, and then putting Rui on Cat and seeing where you go from there.
Yeah, absolutely, Gerald. I mean, the Rui job he did on Cat last game was just incredible. He's really I didn't see this Rui, this physical Rui in Washington, Gerald. They really didn't play that kind of game or allow him to be this physical. But when he's given the opportunity, he can hold his own down there.
Can and what hurt? He would probably hit like 3. He had very close 3 3-pointers that all went in and out on Sunday, and he's getting close to being an efficient scorer from the outside of that mid range. So as he expands his game, you're going to see a little bit more consistency from him, I'm hope. But the thing is, like you said, he's a big body. He's 6'8", strong, and he's capable of being a pretty good rotational player for you in the long run. So we'll see what happens. But it worked again in Minnesota. I would try to go to that first in the, halfway through the first quarter, start in the second quarter. At some point in time, focus in on having Rui and his 5 fouls play Cat. Try to get Cat in foul trouble. If you can get Cat in foul trouble, then you can go ahead and maybe possibly even work on a double team on Anthony Edwards, making it real hard for him, saying, okay, Kyle Anderson, we want you to beat us. And Kyle Anderson can score in some stretches, but asking him to score 30 or 40 in a game is really tough for him at this point in his career.
Yeah, no, you can't really ask him to do that right now. Gerald, I don't think this is going to be a walk in the park as some people have kind of made it out to be. With they are a really fundamentally sound athletic team still without McDaniels and Gobert. You can't take them for granted.
And as John McCallion pointed out, statistically on many statistical analysis, they're better off the floor with Rudy Gobert than on the floor at times. So they could play a 5-out situation, and that could wreak havoc on the Lakers. And we've seen the past couple of weeks, their perimeter defense has been absolutely dreadful and lousy. And
best.
Yeah. So if the Lakers are not guarding the 3 tonight and they're not doing that well, it's going to be a long night for the Lakers. And I'm not planning that on happening, but that is always a possibility with this team that's so up and down. Every time we think they're going in a certain direction, they always have a tendency to let us down on this season. So I'm not expecting anything. I'm just saying all signs are pointing to a Lakers win, but I'm not 100% convinced on that. And I don't think anyone out there should be, because the way the Lakers have played so up and down this season.
Absolutely. But I think if they take care of business tonight, they can get the W, and hopefully we'll move on to Memphis.
And that's the thing, though. If they play and they get a convincing win and they play together, that can build confidence.
100%.
And then they have 4 days off, or almost 4 days off to go ahead on a Sunday. It's probably going to be a Sunday afternoon matchup in Memphis and all that, because they want it on ABC and all that. So you're probably going to go ahead and get 3 to 4 days off. It's not great, but at least it's better than nothing. So the goal should be with LeBron and AD tonight is max out what you can tonight to make sure you get those days off, because waiting until Friday, playing on a Friday, if you lose, and then playing for the right to play Denver, I'm not really sure I'm in love with that prospect either.
Yeah, no, I'm not in love with that either. I mean, what are we doing here? Exactly. You want the 4 days of rest so you can prepare for Sunday. It's just too iffy. We've seen it time and time again, whether it's the whatever playoffs you want to talk about. All it takes is one person, one goalie, one pitcher, one shooter to get hot, and then that's all she wrote. So I don't want to play games tonight.
And AD has to stay out of foul trouble, because this team does not have a backup center. Mo Bamba has not been the thing. Wenyen Gabriel, God bless him, he's just not a rim protector. And like Search and Destroy says, he just can't be physically, he's not physically imposing at all, and he gets muscled out of the paint on quite a bit of occasions. And Tristan Thompson is just 5 fouls in 30 seconds waiting to happen. So I'm just saying right now that the Lakers have got to make sure that they keep AD on the floor as much as possible. If you get 37, 38 minutes from AD, even maybe 40 from AD, and you get another 32 to 35, 37 from LeBron, that's what you need to do. I mean, and also, make sure, Ham, you're no longer doing this dumb stuff where you're not staggering them properly, because if you're not staggering them properly, then you're not going to be able to go ahead and have effective minutes throughout the game.
Yes, no, and this is the playoffs, so the pressure just gets ratcheted up, and those 2.5, 3 minutes you thought you could leave both of them off the floor in the regular season is not the same in a playoff situation where you were down 7 and then all of a sudden you're down 20. It it
Yep.
it doesn't work like that in the NBA playoffs, Gerald. As you know, the coaching is just too good. Chris Finch is a head coach in the NBA for a reason. If he needs to, he can out strategize Darvin Ham. So he needs to be ready. We're
Yeah.
just hoping for a Lakers win tonight, guys, because we want to carry on this momentum, not just with the Lakers, but with the show as well. So
Absolutely. So, but the show will go on. The
the
show
show
must
will go
always go
on.
on, my friend. The channel must always go on. Just because of whatever the Lakers' fate is ultimately in this playoffs does not mean we stop cooking, because we're still going to be throwing as much content as we can, as you can stand out there. So we
Yeah,
just truly
no,
appreciate all your support.
100%. Thank you so much, guys. And we're a beehive. We're not going to be hibernating in the off season.
Adam says it best. Don't take this game lightly and go Lakers. Absolutely. Couldn't agree more on that.
Couldn't agree more, Adam. Great, great, great comment to end this snack pack. So
Well,
everybody,
wait. What did we start off? Didn't we have some awards we
oh
wanted to
yes,
give
we
out?
did. Before we go, we have to give out our awards. So
Well,
the Lakers.
just one award for today. One award for today.
So
We're
we're
kind of
handing out
slow
our.
voters. We've got the slow voters around here.
We
Yeah.
do, we do. We've got some collaborators who are slow to get to us, but they got to us with their votes anyway. And our MVP as a collective was Joel Embiid with 7 votes. I voted for Embiid. Gerald voted for Embiid as well. 1 vote went to Nikola Jokic.
That's first
For Ed.
place votes, by the way, everybody
Yep,
out there.
yep. And we had a few MVP votes for Dom Sabonis, and I had one for as Tyrese Halliburton. So
Yeah, I
we're
thought that was puzzling. And before we get to that, because I want to get to that, I want to hear your reasoning behind that. Um, Giannis Antetokounmpo finished third, Jason Tatum fourth, and Shea Gilgeous-Alexander was fifth on our MVP voting.
yeah.
So why Tyrese Halliburton for a team that finished well under 500 and for a player who was pretty much essentially on that last few weeks of the season bench because he was, hurt and or tanking. So I want to hear your reasoning on why you thought Tyrese Halliburton was top 5 in your MVP voting.
Well, the reason why I put him in there is because I think he is one of the top 5 most important players in the league, and especially to his team. Gerald, if he wasn't playing on Indiana this year, they would have been a glorified lottery team. They probably finished with fewer wins than the Pistons.
Well, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but they are a glorified lottery team.
Yeah, well, they are because they decided that that's the way they wanted to go. But until they sat him, Gerald, they were comfortably a 4th to 6th seed. I think if that had transpired, he wouldn't have won it, but I think he would have gotten some votes. Gerald, he's the only player in NBA history right now to finish a season 20-10 and shoot over 40% from 3. We think of all the legendary point guards that have played in this game: Magic Johnson, Isaiah Thomas, Oscar Robertson, John Stockton. None of those guys did that in a season. So I think he is a superstar. I don't think he's on the verge of superstardom. I think he is a superstar. And I think, he deserves some shine this year. Yes, the team decided they were going to just throw it all up what he accomplished this year in hopes of maybe getting Wemby. But that's what you do this year, Gerald. That's what you do. If you were a middling team, you decided, you know what? I'd rather have a 3% chance on drafting Victor than maybe a 38% chance of getting into the play-in. So, I mean, I understand that's the route they took, and Halliburton isn't going to get a lot of love for it, but I decided he's one of the five most important players in the league to his team.
Well,
So
it
I think
sounds
he
like your
deserves a
next
vote.
stop will be, well, it sounds like your next job will be working for the Dallas Mavericks with that kind of mindset. But
Oh wow! Oh well. Before we go, Gerald, just a quick, your quick
and,
thoughts
and
on
by the
that.
way, Jim Howe, you're exactly right. Yeah, I'm getting nervous too with everybody picking us to win. And yes, we do need Beasley to hit a few threes tonight.
Yes, yeah. So Gerald, just to get your thoughts on what's going on in Dallas, do you think this is the chickens coming home to roost to
Well, it's
Mark
a
Cuban
dumpster fire.
finally?
No, it's a dumpster fire. I can't comment fully on it until we see what happens in the lottery. If he gets pushed back to 11, or if he gets keeps the 10th spot or goes higher.
Because
So we'll find.
because yeah, it was very interesting. I'm not sure if you had a chance to listen to the Low Post, but Zach Lowe was
I
saying
did.
20% chance of losing that pick. That's not
Yeah,
small.
that's not small. And again, I want to make sure that happens first before you comment fully on it, or I comment fully on it, because we'll see how it plays out. But the league is investigating the Mavericks. I don't know why, because if you're going to investigate them for tanking, investigate the whole dang league for tanking. So, it depends on the team each year. If you'd be finding the Mavericks for tanking, then you're going to find every team for tanking, because they said they were tanking in those last couple of games. I don't know. You're not supposed to say you're tanking, even though you are tanking. But yeah,
Yeah, and
I think it's weak. I'm not trying to defend Cuban and the Mavericks, but if you're gonna, if tanking sucks. So if you're doing it like all these teams we saw this late in the season were doing it, yeah, they shouldn't be penalized over the other ones, because if you're going to penalize one, you're going to penalize all for tanking.
absolutely. And Howard Beck made Joe's point that if the Mavs if this was a Mavs strategy, they could have pulled the ripcord a few weeks ago, but because they were mired in the mud, so to speak, of the lower tier of the Western Conference play-in teams, they didn't have that option, Gerald, because it wasn't available
Yeah,
because of the new
I don't
format.
like the fact that they did it. I don't like the fact that they did it, especially after what Lucas said earlier in the week. But they did it, and Adam's saying punish them for being honest. You shouldn't have to punish them for being honest. I mean, if that's the case, again, if you're going to tank one, you're going to tank all. If you're going to punish one for tanking, you're going to punish them all. But I don't like the fact that they did tank a team that close to a play-in for their fans, sake, who want to see more games. Yeah, it just would not have been what I would have done.
No, happy Slovenian night. Hopefully you enjoyed your Atlantic flight. Oh my
Okay.
goodness, that was such a
Uh,
bad look.
yeah, that was such a bad look indeed. But man, I got to get out. I got to head out on the road. Everybody in the chat room, want to say thank you so much for watching, Sean, and the little Lakers snack pack we provided you. My friend, you're going to be part of playback.tv/Lakers Fast Break tonight.
I will, sir. I'll be out there with you
All
from
right,
the first
sounds
tip
good.
to the last buzzer.
You got it, my friend. And well, of course, the post game tonight here on this channel. So I got to head on out, my friend. The roads await me here in Vegas, but I will see you tonight, my friend.
See you tonight, Gerald. And with that, everybody, I'll give you thank you very much for stopping by for this Lakers Fast Break Snack Pack. I want to thank my guest, Gerald Glassford, for joining me. Hopefully tonight will be very low key, and the Lakers should take care of business, and we pack our bags, and we go to Memphis for some good barbecue and a game-1 win on Sunday. That's what I'm looking forward to. So with that, appreciate it. I'm your main man on Lakers Fast Break outside of Gerald Glassford. This is Sean Grice, aka MagicMan. Thank you very much for this snack pack. Hope you all enjoy. See you tonight, and bye-bye.